Alright, I'm going to give you a brief overview of how my app works. So we start off in roster mode. This top section represents um, the players on the field. So to move them to the bench, you just click on them. To move them from the bench to the field, you click on their face from the bench. You can have a max of 7 people on the field. This More tab displays a panel containing everyone on the team. The players you select here will no longer show on the field or on the bench. So it's good for filtering out people who aren't coming to the game. So who's not coming to our first game? Rob, Randy, Pat, Noel, Elaine. Okay. As you can see, they no longer show up here, so it keeps it less cluttered. All right, so once we have our roster set, we can continue to the first point by clicking on confirm. So the first thing that you have to do is select whether we're starting on offense or on defense. You can also select which direction we're attacking. You can do this at any time during the game. So here's how this thing works. Let's say we're starting on defense. You select a player who's pulling the disc and then select on the spot where the disc landed. Okay, so when you're on defense, you don't need to you don't need to record anything until a turnover or a goal occurs. And so if an opponent turns it over on their own, you can click on the red incomplete button. If one of our players causes the turnover, you can click on that player. So let's say Liz caused the turnover. You'll click on the spot on the field that they caused it at. Let's say here. And then you would click on either catch block or hand block. Catch block is if she blocked a pass before it was caught. Hand block is when you're guarding a person and you block it like pretty much straight out of their hands as they're throwing it. Okay, so again, you have to click on the person, the location, and then the type of block in that order. So let's say she hand blocked. All right, so it automatically switches to offense. At this point, you select the person who picks up the disc. It's not necessarily the same person who caused a turnover. So let's say Kevin picks up the disc. So as passes are made, the way this works is you click on a player and then click on a spot on the field. Click on a player, spot on the field. Player, spot on the field. And so on. So it automatically detects that it's a catch if you move on to a next player. So if there's a turnover, let's say Liz threw an incomplete pass to Charlie. So click on Charlie and the spot on the field, and then you can click on one of the following options. You can click on easy if it was an easy pass that Charlie should have caught but dropped. Hard for a difficult pass that was thrown to Charlie that technically could have been caught but was a pretty bad throw. Or impossible if it was thrown in his general direction but was impossible to catch. You can also click on catch blocked if it was thrown to Charlie but the pass was D'd or intercepted. One second here. Oh yeah, and then we have the more button, which has a few more less common options. And these all involve the thrower, which in this case would be Liz. So let's undo and go back to the state where Liz has the disc in her hand. So these options, hand blocked is if the person guarding her blocked the disc right out of her hand. Stalled is for if she got stall counted, and threw away, you would select that if you have no idea who she threw it to and it was just an incomplete pass. So let's say that happened. So now we're back on defense, and we do the same thing. Just wait for the defense to play until a turnover is made or a goal is scored. What else? Okay, so let's say let's just say the opponent scored a goal. You'd click on goal. So the logs on the left panel get saved whenever a goal is scored, or whenever you click on the submit button. So that just sends the data to my database. You'll probably want to do that every now and then, but it should, again, just save every time a goal is scored. So I'm going to go over some quirks about my app. First of all, do not refresh the app mid-game, because every time you refresh, it just counts as a new game. Also, a timer starts to run whenever we make a pull or we receive a pull, and then the timer stops when a goal is scored. If a timeout occurs, then you'd want to stop the clock by clicking on the timeout button. You can still perform any actions you want here, but you can click timeout to unpause the game. Also, you can make roster changes mid-point. It doesn't matter if you're currently in the point, you can still change the roster. You don't have to have the same roster that you started the point off with. Also, if a button doesn't seem to do anything, then it's probably because it's just not applicable in that state. Like you're trying to click an offensive button when you're on defense. So that's something I'm actually going to fix and clean up in the next version of this app. I'll make it more obvious what you can and cannot do. Also, when you're on offense and you're making passes, you don't necessarily have to click on the spot on the field each time. So Charlie can pass to Eric, to Kevin, to Moriaki, and it's recorded, but we just won't have the coordinates. I highly recommend you click on spots on the field whenever they make passes, but again, you don't have to. And also, if you, for whatever reason, can't see who's involved in the play, like someone caught it from our side, but you don't know who, you can use the unknown player, and this kind of acts like a placeholder. Okay, that's the gist of it.